The deep range assassin. So this has probably been my favorite week overall. The course. We actually have a standalone course that's 4 weeks long called the Sniper. That's also built on this framework. But most coaches, when they see a player with poor shooting performance or even just technique that looks different than what they're used to, they go for what I call demolition. They're like, you're doing it wrong. You need to pull your elbow in and you change your hand placement. You do all these things. And the player is just completely resistant to that, right? You know, maybe if they're third, fourth, fifth grade, they would adopt what their coach is telling them and do it. But by the time they get to seventh, eighth, ninth grade, they're like, I have my shot. I've played 8 years of basketball. I know how to make shots with what I have right now. Like my shot is my baby, and I don't want to change it. You know, it's got to be a really high incentive. And so what I've arrived at is what I call remodeling. Instead of you're doing it wrong, we're going to trash your shot and start over. It's like you're doing this well, you're doing that well. Let's tweak this and maybe change that and focus on this part of it. And, you know, suddenly they're getting more success from each of those small pieces that we're applying for them. And, you know, then they start to trust us and we can do more over time. But we're taking kind of the long game approach of small pieces stacked up over time without ever telling them, you know, what you're doing is wrong and your shot's terrible. We're just taking what's working and slowly modifying and improving it. So they might, like you as a parent, might not recognize their shot a year later, but to them, it never changed. Like it's been their shot all the time. We just moved it very small and gradual pieces. And then the other part that we like to work on is power before precision. Instead of trying to get them perfectly looking good mechanically 2 feet from the basket, but then having no power when they back up. And so all that finesse, you know, precision goes away. We try to work on power first. Like we need to generate power out to as deep range as we can. And then over time, we start to develop more precision so that they're capable of reaching the basket first and they're capable of having the same shot at all ranges so that it's not a really nice technical shot close to the basket and then it's a two-hand whatever huck up when they get out to three-point line. We want to have the same shot so we have consistency and then, you know, we really get into just compound interest. It's the same shot every time we shoot, all the time, every time, all the rest of our life. Then we get really good at shooting. What players struggle with, in my perspective, is they have different shots at different spots. And so they're practicing different shots all the time. And they rarely get into a really consistent, repeatable action that makes them better, you know, just by doing more repetitions.